Okay, there's an announcement these days. That's great. So welcome everyone. My name is Aaron Bullard. I am on the board of directors for the Choral Consortium of San Diego. I wanted to start this conductor conversation with a land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that we gather, even virtually, on the traditional land of the Kumeyaay peoples, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. I want to welcome you to our fourth conductor conversation with Ruben Valenzuela and Tasha Koontz. In a minute, I'll have them introduce themselves. But I wanted to kind of let you know that this event is produced by the Choral Consortium of San Diego. We are a nonprofit service organization, and we are dedicated to kind of uplifting local choirs in the San Diego and Tijuana region. If you enjoy tonight's event and want to kind of check us out, we will have a link in the chat for donations to support our efforts in supporting local San Diego choirs. So that link should be in the chat to donate soon, as well as in the description of this video if you're watching this later online. So with that, we'll get into the conversation tonight. I will have Tasha go ahead and introduce herself first.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tasha Koontz. I am the music director at St. Peter's Episcopal Church for all of the now 4 choirs that we have on campus.
And Ruben?
Yes, Ruben Valenzuela. I lead the Bach Collegium San Diego, the All Souls music program, which consists of 2 choirs, and until very recently, the La Jolla Symphony Chorus.
Very cool. Thank you guys for joining us again tonight. So normally we decide who goes first based on birthdays, and we do Price is Right rule. So whoever's is upcoming, and I think Ruben, yours just passed.
Yep, so you're up.
So Tasha will be up first. I wanted to let everyone in the audience know that if you wanted to, we will have a time at the very end for audience questions. So if you have a burning question you'd like to ask these conductors, go ahead and send it to me privately in the chat. And as I collect those, we'll get to those towards the end. So Tasha, go ahead and read the first question and take it away.
I am not seeing the first question in the chat.
It went to the waiting room.
There we go. So Ruben, what is your favorite meal to prepare at home?
Well, I'm not much of a cook. I lack all cooking prowess, full disclosure. So my go-to is I just love a good sandwich. I make a lot of sandwiches because I just look in the fridge and find what I can. Usually it's salami and some cheese and some hummus, and I slap it together, and that essentially is my favorite meal.
Yum.
To prepare at home. Yeah. So what is yours, Tasha?
I actually love to cook, although I love to cook for other people more than I love to cook for myself. But my house specialty meal is bacon wrapped filet mignon with potato gruyere gratin and roasted asparagus.
Wow. All right. What is the most, this is for Tasha, of course, what is the most used app on your phone?
Oh goodness, probably some social media app. Facebook and TikTok might be competing for most used at this point. What about you? What is your most used app?
It's probably a toss-up between 2. I would say a close tie between the usual suspects, Facebook, Instagram, and my MLB app, because I love baseball. So I'm always on that app. Yep. So let's see here. Who's up? Oh, what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about yourself during 2020, Tasha?
Oh my, I have learned that I can still learn a lot of new skills during 2020, and that saying no is not always a bad thing.
Yeah. I think you're going to ask me that, right?
Yes, I am.
So, yes, I think I have to agree with number 2. There was a lot of time for, I think the church word is discerning in 2020. And one thing that I have often battled with in my personal life is the ability to say no. And I think I've learned that no is an acceptable answer, and that I have to just, weigh what I have on my plate very carefully. as I go. And so I think I learned that very, very clearly. Otherwise, I don't think I would have made it through this last year, because there were a lot of plates up in the air.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Same. Yeah, definitely the same. I think my my biggest current battle is trying to remind myself that unscheduled time does not mean I am available to do
Right,
something.
right. Yeah. So yeah, I suffer from the guilt syndrome of if you're not using every day, every hour of the day, every minute of the day, daylight, then you're a slacker. So
Exactly.
anyway, that has changed somewhat, thankfully. So let's see. Oh yeah, you're gonna ask me. Sorry.
I'm up next. Let's see. What is the first thing you are going to do as the pandemic comes to a close?
Well, let's see. I'd like to travel. I was hoping to go. I should have been in Leipzig, Germany last summer, and I was so looking forward to that trip. And then of course it got canceled. And so I'm looking forward to doing some traveling abroad and catching up there, because I have a lot of tickets on hold from things that got canceled. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, pretty much same answer. I was also supposed to be in Germany last summer. My sister actually lives there, and I'm looking forward to going for Thanksgiving this year, and hopefully again soon after that to visit her and my two nieces.
Awesome. Yeah. This is a good one, I think. Who or what inspired you to pursue music?
Oh, that is actually a tough question.
I figured it would.
Right. Music has always been a huge part of my life, like starting as a small child. I started in children's choir at the age of 5 in the Spokane area children's choir, because I was homeschooled and didn't really have access to school choirs and things like that. And my church choir said I was too young to join the church choir. But I think the person who really helped push me into pursuing music professionally was actually my first voice teacher. Her name was Darnell Preston. Her name is Darnell Preston. She's still around. She's great. Her and my sister actually both were like, you should really do this for real. What about you?
Yeah, well, again, it's also a very complicated question, because there are a lot of factors that all kind of, things that happen all at the same time. But so two things. My dad's side of the family, they're all very musical. My dad was a musician, and then in the extended family there are a lot of other musicians in there. So I literally grew up with music at home. It was always around. But then the second whammy was that my parents were always church going, and I literally grew up in church, and I grew up around music in church. And then I had a cousin who was ahead of me, who was already taking piano lessons, and I would hear him play in church, and I immediately said, I want to do that. And so my parents started me in piano lessons with one condition, that once I got good enough, that I had to also help at the church, in the church, and play. That was part of it. And so I did that, and I enjoyed that very much. And along the way, as I got older into my teenage years, it just sort of like kind of went that direction, that there was really nothing else I know how to do well. And my parents, and I don't know, you always hear these stories about parents saying to a kid, you're like, are you sure you want to do music? Like, and my parents never, like, nobody ever said that to me. Like, you're crazy. Like, are you sure you want to do this? Maybe you want to do something more practical. That's what I know how to do, and just keep doing it. So I'm grateful to my parents for never questioning that drive, and for being supportive until the present, So
That's awesome. It's always nice to have supportive parents. Let's see. What is a favorite memory of yours involving a choir you are currently involved with?
Well, God, there are many stories, but one that immediately comes to mind is so Bach Collegium San Diego's first ever concert, and this venture was never intended. I never intended it to like be a lasting thing. It was supposed to be just a weekend, 2 concerts of the Bach St. John Passion with friends, and we had such a good time that we just kept going. But It was basically a hodgepodge of friends and that we got together to do it. And I was dead set on literally paying everybody for this. Didn't pay them much, but I wanted to pay everybody for their efforts, including an orchestra and all that sort of thing. And I was literally just seconds before we went and did the first concert, like trying to scrounge up like literally cash to get, because I promised everybody I'd pay them after the performance. Same with the orchestra. And I remember being so stressed out. I was so stressed out because of that fact that I promised people that I was going to, pay them for their time. And the concert was now here, and now I had like 2 hours of music ahead of me, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So that's still kind of funny. But anyway, what's yours?
Let's see, my favorite memory. My favorite memories with the St. Peter's choirs are always our evensong services, which we don't do that often, but I think one of my favorite ones is my strongest memory, only because it was my worlds kind of colliding a little bit, in that I had been competing personally in the musical merit competition of San Diego, and the winner's concert was the same day as Evensong.
Oh my gosh.
Right, exactly. So I was like, how do I make this happen? So I had a friend come in and sub and do the afternoon rehearsal before the service. And I raced in and threw my robes on over my gown and my high heels and my jewelry and all the stuff, like 5 minutes before the service was supposed to start. And the choir itself was just ready for me, waiting to go. And they were all so excited for me and my success, and that I had made it in time. And then we had this really tremendously beautiful evensong service that was full of some new music that they hadn't actually done before, and that they did a really great job with. So that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that I would imagine that would have been very stressful, of making that,
Yeah.
that sudden shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Favorite San Diego venue to perform in, and then worldwide venue.
Oh gosh, favorite San Diego venue to perform in. I think I have performed a lot in the Civic Theater in San Diego, although not so much with the choir. But it is a fun place to sing. Love the old school red velvet seats on the inside. And then my favorite venue in the world. This is really hard. I think it would have to be St. Paul's Cathedral in London, because of again, this like really strong memory that I have from my children's choir when we went on tour there. I will never forget, we did this beautiful arrangement of O Sacrum Convivium, and we stood in a circle under the dome holding hands, and we're singing this piece. We all just start crying because we've never been in an acoustic like this.
Right.
And you could just hear everything. And it was really, really quite beautiful and special. What about you?
Well, gosh, so so it's again a complicated question in a sense, but with BCSD, we always enjoy performing in the Greek Orthodox Church up in Cardiff, because of the fact that that room does a lot of the work for you, in that everything sounds like velvet in there, and even if you're not having your best day musically, whether you're playing or singing, that room really helps, and I always find that to be a very reassuring thing.
Yeah, who's ever having their best day on a performance day?
You know what I mean? So now, but also when we did Messiah at the Conrad, the down in La Jolla, and I was a little bit at first not all too excited about the room. I thought it was a little bit dry, but once we were there, it was just such a beautiful venue where you have legit like place to get dressed and like a coffee, like the simple things, the coffee machine downstairs and things like that whereas in the Greek Orthodox Church, you're putting on, concert gear in a little, Sunday school room kind of thing. As far as worldwide venue, gosh, I would have to say probably the Thomaskirche in Leipzig. I was touring with the choir once as a budget baritone, and we got to sing the Sunday morning service there. And I being such a lover of Bach and Bach's music and all that sort of thing, just singing from the gallery and then seeing his grave, a football field away, and being caught up in the history there just was very impactful. That I just remember distinctly thinking, like, gosh, I definitely am doing what I should be doing. I remember that being very, very direct. So, yep. I think Aaron fell asleep.
Okay. Oh gosh, what kind of person were you in school?
Oh man. So I've always been the counterculture person, like definitely. I love sports, I do, but I never was involved with sports in school, not even close. Like I didn't even go to sporting events in school. Like I was not that person. And interestingly enough, I was never involved with music at my school at all. My music stuff was completely separate from school. At school, if you had seen me, I was the skater kid. I was a skater dude, essentially. So I had the flock of seagulls hair, the Converse. I took my skateboard to school, listened to The Cure, listened to Depeche Mode, if you know any of those bands. And I took great pride in being part of this counterculture thing, that there were just a few of us that would meet up in the quad of my high school, and we'd be there all looking very, Morrissey depressed vibe going, if you know what I'm talking about.
Totally.
And so most of my friends were into like the mod movement, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, and that still sticks with me to this very day. Like I don't like to be part of, like, I like clubs, but I don't like to, let people know that I'm part of them. I'm very resistant. So yeah, that was my vibe. What was yours?
Let's see. I was a choir nerd.
Okay.
In high school. I finally went to school in high school. And I was in the school choir. I was in the jazz quintet that would meet at lunch. I was in the pet band that would play for the sporting events, where we would be singing, like Pat Benatar and AC/DC and stuff like that. They had me, of all people, singing Back in Black, which was hilarious. And so yeah, choir nerd and a drama kid.
Oh wow,
all
drama.
the music theater and
okay. All right.
Yeah, loved my
yeah. It's interesting now that like this question has been asked, and I haven't thought about this in a while. What's interesting is that to the present, I tend to compartmentalize my life, I think, in a way that, like, all my skater friends had no clue, like most of them had no clue that when they would not see me at school later, I would be at home, like, working on music stuff. Like, I didn't let them in on that side of me. That was another part of me, like, because I don't know if it was just like somehow weird to me. So, like, I just compartmentalized, and then my music thing was like my music thing, and I didn't, those did not coexist until much later. So
yeah, my school was too small for that. Yeah. Everybody knew everything about everyone. I mean, my graduating class was 25 people.
I went to the biggest public school in Pomona, California, and like, I literally just went to school, did the class thing, and then like went home. Like I was kind of like, probably most people, like, other than my friends, knew who I was. Like, I just kind of like hid. I was sort of that. What is one thing you own that you really should throw out?
Oh, so many things. The thing that mostly comes to mind are, I still have my old choir tour sweatshirts.
Oh my gosh.
From children's choir. That, like, my favorite one was from our South America tour, and it says, I have rehearsal.
Oh my gosh.
It was so true. We were all such dedicated choir nerds that we could never do things.
I totally get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably my thing I really should get rid of.
Yeah. I hear
What
you.
about you?
I just discovered actually a few days ago, because I have been going through things in recent months. That was the other thing that was sort of pandemic induced, was me trying to clean up a little bit. And I actually still have my Doc Martin boots from high school that
Awesome.
appeared that are like now petrified. They're like rocks. The leather has like completely like, and I'm thinking to myself, I really should get rid of these. But then there's this internal tug of sentimentality that says, don't, because that's like my last physical, maybe one of the last few physical, tangible things that connects me to that time, that
Totally.
takes me back. So I should throw them out, though. I should put them on my Buy Nothing Rolando page. And somebody could use them.
What artist or group do you want to collaborate with?
Oh, gosh.
That's so hard.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the genre for me. But God. Well, I really am, like, I really admire the work, for example, of Voces 8 and their work, especially in this last year with their Voces 8 Live from London series. That was just an amazing production that they took on, and I subscribed to that over the last year, and I have, I've sent some messages back and forth with Barney Smith, and I would like to like get to know more, and God, it would be like so fun to collaborate, do something with them. But that's just, again, in my little compartment of that world, musical world. I have other little compartments, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
How about you?
I will also go with a weird small compartment, which is that I really love like contemporary pop a cappella. So mine would be collaborating with a group like Take Six.
Oh, nice.
Or like the House Jacks, or I mean the Pentatonics, like, oh my gosh. But yeah, something like that would be really fun.
Yeah, so I just a sidebar, I've known of and kind of grew up in a way listening to Take Six as a kid, because see, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and they were all from Oakwood College, which is an Adventist college, and so that was always in my sort of peripheral and sphere, was either Take Six or groups like them in the Adventist sort of environment. So I've known of them quite a bit, and still enjoy them very much. Let's see. What is your secret non-music passion or talent?
Do I have any secret non-music talents? Probably probably cooking, honestly. Although it's not that big of a secret. I know how to hula dance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's my weird secret hidden talent. What about you?
Gosh, I definitely, I won't add the talent part, because I literally don't know how to do anything else. No joke. But as far as secret passion, I don't know if it's probably not secret, but I am absolutely very passionate about baseball. I love everything about baseball. Not only the team that I've always followed since I was a kid, the Los Angeles Dodgers, but again, sidebar, when I was a kid, probably 8 or 9, I had to do some summer reading for my elementary school, and so my mom would take me to the library to check out books, and I just wanted to eat up any book about baseball. So I decided to read every book on baseball that and I still remember it's the Audubon library in Pasadena, where I was at the time, and I read every book imaginable. So to this day, I know a lot of history. I love baseball history, like World Series history. And that's when I discovered that the Dodgers had been in Brooklyn, and it just blew my mind because nobody had ever mentioned that to me. And I also, this kind of goes back to the high school time that I was talking about earlier. If you follow me on social media, you will know that when I was in high school, I had all my friends had Vespa scooters, except me, because my parents would not let me get one. And so all this time later, I finally decided, you know what, if I don't get this now in my life, it's never going to happen. So I just bit the bullet. I didn't have to ask my parents for permission anymore. And I just said, I'm getting one. And so that's one of my passions. I've always loved vintage Vespa scooters. So that's my other interest.
That's awesome. All right. So what are you currently reading, or what book did you most recently finish?
I have a bunch of books. I don't read books from beginning to end and then go to the next one. I usually have like 5 or 6 things at once, and they're all very diverse. I just finished reading a book called The Legendary Don Drummond, the World's Greatest Trombonist. He was a Jamaican trombonist who was active in the 50s and 1960s and played with the band called the Scatolites. And he led a very tragic life. And so I read a biography of his that. And right now I'm reading a book called The Oral History of Ska from the 1960s, Jamaican music. I have an interest in Jamaican 1960s specific Jamaican music. And so I'm reading that, but I'm also reading a book called Bach and God, because I'm leading a book club at All Souls this Wednesday by Michael Marison. And I'm also reading a book called Music Poetics, which is essentially a music treatise from the 18th century translated into English so I can read it from the German. And again, it's not the kind of book you read from beginning to end, but I just kind of open it and look around and poke around and see what I can pull from it. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Nice.
How about you?
I'm an escapist. So when I read for fun. So I definitely am in the middle of 2 different romance novels right now. One with a fantasy bent as well. But yeah, that's what I'm reading.
Okay, well, and the world should know this, that if it didn't happen for reals in history, I will not touch it. Like I do not like especially science fiction, not for me. I just went to Disneyland last week, and it's not that I don't like, I mean, tomatoes will be thrown through the screen, I think, but it's not that I dislike Disneyland. I appreciate it very much so. But I went with some dear friends, and they were just beside themselves at this Avenger Campus thing. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I know who Spider-Man is, and I know some of these, but I don't understand. Like if it didn't happen in history, like I'm not interested. And
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I don't like, and science fiction, forget it. Like I don't do that. So.
Okay, I also kind of hate science fiction, but
okay,
give me fantasy over reality. I need it.
Okay, all right, yeah, yeah. What have you learned from a setback you experienced? Oh gosh.
What have I learned from a setback I experienced? I mean, a music career is so full of setbacks.
Exactly.
Constantly at all times. So I think what I have learned time and time again is that you just have to keep trying.
Yeah.
And don't stop. No matter what you do, don't stop attempting whatever it is you're attempting.
Totally. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I think I'm with you on that. I think it's easy in this sort of arena to think that if you aren't successful, that it's the shut door, it's a done deal. And it's easy in those moments to think that nothing was accomplished, like literally nothing was accomplished. And I think, at least for me, with certain projects that I took on over the last 14 months or whatever, when I thought, gosh, I'm literally spinning my wheels, I'm wasting my time. Like the fruition of that, sometimes it starts to appear like weeks later. It's kind of funky how that works. Like suddenly something becomes easier that was a challenge when you thought it was a failure at first. And so patience, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, is patience. And I suck at that. I'm not very patient. I want immediate rewards. Like I'm that person. Like like even with music, like if I don't have like quick results, I get really impatient. And that has been that's something that I constantly have to like remind myself of, that a lot of these things that you're trying to do are not immediate result projects. So take a step back and relax. So
yeah, I have that same problem.
Let's see. What did it say here?
It says, I ask a thing. So if you could snap your fingers and immediately alter one thing about the choral art professional music scene in San Diego, what would you alter?
Well, the first one is pretty easy. I think that I would find a way that if you come to my rehearsal, you have to wrap those loud tinny water canisters with some device that when they fall and they get kicked over, inevitably they get kicked over. And they usually get kicked over when I'm saying probably the most important thing in that rehearsal, and two will go flying under chairs. And then, so there's gotta be a way to drink your water, but I don't wanna hear your canister. Somebody like fix that. And that's the funny one. The second one is probably one thing that I've always found interesting about choral music and leading rehearsals, that I think that choral singers forget that what they're doing involves text, and text is most important. It's easy to fall into the trap of the music, the notes themselves, the rhythms, but at the end of the day, what sets choral music apart from, say, instrumental music is the fact that we have text to deal with. And if a composer knows what they're doing, they will set a text beautifully, especially if it's a beautiful text. And so I think just come to rehearsal recognizing that the text, if it's a beautiful text and it's set beautifully, tells you a lot of what you need to do musically with, that part of it. And sometimes we just get so bogged down with like the notes and that can be a source of frustration for me often. How about you?
Well, first of all, I completely agree with you about the text. Yes, we are communicating, and not just with the notes. But probably the thing I would want to see is more of a variety of ensembles, frankly. And I don't mean variety in terms of like, trebles only or men's groups only or whatever, but like a more variety of styles of music. Like I really pride myself on being a vocal chameleon, and I want that for everybody. I want everybody to be able to sing early music and contemporary music and jazz and
Right.
music theater and classical music and all the things, and have opportunities to sing all of those things.
Yeah, interesting that you should mention that, because I have found that as I get older, my I don't know what this says about me, but my scope, like I have found it has narrowed. Like what I know that I can do, like I have a lot of interests, but I know, like, yeah, in another life I want to be a jazz pianist. That's what I want to do. But I can't devote any time right now to it. And until I can, like, I'm not going to go there. And so it's really funny how, again, compartments, like I just compartmentalize everything. And I tend to be pretty, I just narrow in on my things that I do and follow. So anyway.
I think I get really frustrated when there are things I can't do. So I refuse for there to be things that I can't do. Except for, I will fully admit, I cannot rap. That's like the one thing I've never been able to figure out how to do.
Yeah. No, I get very frustrated sometimes when it's something that I know I can't do. I sometimes have been known to avoid it because I feel this tug, and I go back to jazz. That is, you may not know this about me, but when I first moved to San Diego, my intent was to do a jazz piano degree at San Diego State. And I came to this crossroads of early music and jazz, and well, you kind of know which one I picked, because at that particular moment I didn't have all of the skills needed to fully go into the deep end of the jazz, but I was taking jazz piano lessons and had been for some years, and that's still something that I wish I could go back to. I really love the freedom of jazz and the expression of it. And this is one of the reasons why I love Baroque music so much, because I see a lot in common there. The freedom, the expression, the improvisation.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, next life I will come back as a jazz pianist. So there you go. Let's see, there are some questions here. William Miller, thank you. I'll read, is that okay, Tasha, if I read that?
Go for it.
Thank you, Tasha and Ruben, for your charming candor and interesting tales of how you navigated through 15 months, and for advising us and singers to pay more attention to the text. Thank you. Yeah, well, thanks for listening to that. So now I have a question for you. You get one song to listen to for the rest of your life. What is it? Oh my gosh.
Oh no, that sounds terrible. Okay, weirdly enough, not a vocal thing. It would probably be the Sibelius Violin Concerto.
Geez. See, Aaron, I'm gonna like toilet paper your house for that one, because again, it depends on a genre for me. Like, okay. The Bach St. Matthew Passion, I suppose I can chew on for a lifetime and I'd be okay. But at the same time, like that's I need more than that's not all for me. You know, there's more things. So okay, that's my answer tonight at 6:54.
Yeah,
So
exactly. What are you still looking to accomplish?
wow. Jeez. What am I looking to accomplish? I th- Gosh, I think consistency. I think, you know, I'd like to think that I can function at a pretty high proficient level on certain things that I do, but it's that level of consistency that some days it's really hard to do it, and sometimes I can do it. I just like, what's happening? Like did I not eat right? I can't lead a choir right now. I can't play the organ right now. I can't play what's happened? And then 2 days later, I can't. It's weird like this, and I wish I could just figure out like consistency. You know what I mean? I know that's kind of a weird answer, but that's just what comes to mind right now. Is just like, and that sometimes is a source of frustration for me. Like, why is today difficult, but tomorrow or yesterday was super easy? I don't know. So, how about you?
What am I hoping to accomplish? Well, right now I'm very consumed with a new project I'm doing that everybody will probably hear a lot more about on social media later. But I'm starting a new company in San Diego that I'm hoping will help to fill some of the musical gaps that exist.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
stay
think I've
tuned.
caught a glimpse of that a little bit passing through my.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Excellent. Let's see. Ruben asks, that's me, by the way. What are you grateful for right now, Tasha?
Oh, I am really grateful for my friends right now, for the support system that I've built for myself over the last year, and for still for having been employed for
Yeah.
the entire pandemic.
Yep.
What
Yep.
about you?
Yeah, I would have to say, you know, friends, family, um, we're all doing very well there and seemingly thriving. Yes, I mean, even in this last year, incredibly lucky that I just things were. I figured out a way to keep things moving. Now it was super stressful at times and not sure I knew what I was doing half the time, but and then health, I would have to say, I just had a significant birthday, and I'm sort of frightened of the check engine lights starting to go off. You know, there goes a knee, there goes. I keep hearing about this, and so I'm just waiting for that moment when, like, you know, my leg will fall off. You know, I
Well,
think that
hopefully
happens.
not.
So there's another question here. Let me ask you, Tasha. Where can everyone find out more info about your choirs, Tasha, and upcoming events?
Um, uh, well, the St. Peter's website is a great place to start for the St. Peter's info. And then for my other choirs, social media is the best way. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. On social media, the All Souls, we have a pretty active Music at All Souls Facebook page, where I try to keep pretty current of what's going on. And then for BCSD website, but more importantly, I find websites can be kind of stagnant these days. So social media things, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, BCSD, that's like up to date as to what is going on. So I would look there. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, both Tasha and Ruben, for coming out and joining us and having this mutual interview in front of everyone. I think it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot of things. We'll be on the lookout for my house getting toilet papered for some of the harder questions.
And I'm coming to dinner. I'm coming to dinner over at Tasha's. I know what she will cook.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, we'll all meet at Tasha's for dinner afterwards. Perfect. So we can have everyone, if you want to take off or turn on your camera, and if you want to just say a quick hi and thanks for joining us, we can turn off the recording. We'll see you guys at some upcoming events. And we just really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey friends, hey Libby. And other La Jolla Symphony Chorus friends, I see you.
Thanks, Ruben. Thanks, Tasha.
Sure.
My pleasure.
Thank you both.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. I have to say, Aaron, that's a very, and I guess Choral Consortium in general, that's a very interesting and unique way to do an interview. I will take note of that.
We've gotten some wonderful comments from now 8 different conductors over time from very different groups. So it's been a fascinating look at the engaging and talented people that we have in our community. So thank you both very much for doing this.
Yeah,
These were the best questions so far too. These are great questions.
Wow.
That's right. You hear that, Ruben? Best questions.
I'm not going to lie. This felt a little bit like a guided first date.
Yeah.
I
If only it
agree.
were so easy. If only it were so easy, right?
Yeah, totally. I can see that now, Tasha.
Yeah. Everyone learned a little bit. That was great.
Maybe that should be a new service.